Hi everyone, this is my run on the Thrall of Darkness Lufenia stage, which is the debut of Xande's release. And specifically, the strategy that I use in this run is using Eald'narche or Nacho-cheese strategy. And I find it's particularly effective in this fight because you can actually terror lock the bosses on the second wave from the start until the end, and they will never get a single action in if you do the strat correctly. So I'll cover a bit about the fight overview, the setup before going into the actual battle itself. And as always, I will also be including a timestamp in the video description that you can use to skip ahead to the section that you are interested in. Also, I will include a link of another cheesy strategy using Amidatelion turn deletion for this fight, so you can check it out in the video description if you are interested. So the fight has two waves. The first wave is not very difficult. It's an Ochu with two micro Ochus or micro Chus, and the Ochu can re-summon the micro Chus when they die. Typically, from what I can see, it re-summons them once or twice over the battle. The micro Chus itself are more an annoyance than a danger. They can poison or brave attack you, and most of the time the micro Chus will die just from AoE splash damage. So most party compositions can get by the first wave just by focusing down the Ochu in the middle. The second wave is the real challenge of the fight. It's a pair of assault dogs, and the Lufenia orb also makes an appearance on the second wave. Using a cheesy strategy though, you can bypass most of the mechanics of the fight. For one thing, the bosses will never get a single action in, so for the most part you can ignore all their attacks. With regards to the Lufenia orb, you doing dark damage actually increases the orb counter. So as long as you have dark type attackers, chief of which of course is Xande, because he can enchant your entire party with dark, thereby always ensuring that the Lufenia counts maxes out at 20, so the Lufenia orb isn't really an issue if you have Xande, or at least if you have dark type attackers that can complement Eald'narche. The only other thing, if you're using either a turn deletion or a terror lock strategy, the only other thing to take note is that the dogs can actually grant themselves a yellow aura, which incorporates a combination of a brave shield as well as it nullifies HP damage taken. So it's called a fire dog, and the game will tell you when they do it, they actually surround themselves with fire, and you can see a yellowish aura surrounding them. So when they do this, they get a brave shield in a very similar way that Warrior of Light can grant your party. And initially the brave shield is about 30,000, but at the later parts of the fight it increases because the boss's stats have increased. Notably also, when one dog dies, the remaining dog will automatically grant itself a 70,000 bravery shield, which is quite tough to break through. So the ideal situation is you try to kill both dogs together in the same move. Otherwise you need to brave shave through the shield at the end as well. While the shield is up, it also has an HP damage reduction effect. So very similar again to Warrior of Light with his LD. While the shield is up, any or all HP damage done to the dogs will be reduced to 0. You can actually circumvent this with HP damage up auras, say for example from Charlotta or Kurasami, but essentially you need to at least break through the shield in order to start doing HP damage again. For the most part, this isn't too bad if you're using any cheese strategy, because all you really have to do is bring in strong brave shavers, and they can help you brave shave through the shield and remove the HP damage reduction that way. So coming to the party setup that I used, This fight, as I mentioned, incorporates Eald'narche Terror Lock, so of course Eald'narche comes into play here. I have him fully maxed out, and I equipped him with Cane, Snow, and Irvine's Refined Spheres. Now to complement Eald'narche, the next best character for this fight would be Xande, because Xande can enchant the party with Dark, which will bypass the Lufenia orb mechanics. Every attack that you do will increase the orb counter by 2, which essentially the orb counter will never run out. Also, when the boss is terror locked, each time they get a turn, because they cannot take an action, the orb will actually not decrease in count, which actually also helps out a lot in the strategy. So just having Xande alone in this party will, for the most part, negate the Lufenia orb. Xande also helps Eald'narche's damage output because he can enchant an Imperial Dark, so Eald'narche will be hitting for weakness damage while he is enchanted by Dark. Lastly, the third party member is a bit flexible. I chose Vivi mainly due to the raw damage that Vivi can bring, but really any other strong DPSer will probably be able to fit the role as well, especially if they are non-elemental, so that they can be enchanted dark by Xande. So in terms of their setup, so Vivi is also fully MLB, and he has 2 refined Rinoa spheres and a full Rinoa sphere. I believe they do stack, because if you read the sphere description, it doesn't say that it doesn't stack with its own sphere. And for Xande, I have a refined Papalimo, Sephiroth, and Cloud spheres equipped. To me, the best summon of choice here would be Odin, because once Vivi uses Doomsday, everyone in the party will deplete HP and will then get the 30% attack increase. Another very good choice is also Diabolos for this fight in particular, because Xande will ensure everyone will always be hitting for weakness damage, Dark Element, which means that it will also be boosted by 30% from the Diabolos summon, so that's also another potential summon that you can use. For the friend support in this fight, I actually used a Cloud with a BT, and there's a lot of flexibility here. The main reason I use Cloud is actually to just kill off the Ochu on the first wave as quickly as possible, so that I can get to the second wave with as few turns and skill users used as possible. If done correctly, you don't need a friend support or even to use your summon on the second wave, because really the dogs will be terror locked the entire way. So using strong friend support that can also delay helps out a lot on the first wave. So Cloud, Sephiroth with his burst, or Lightning as well, are all excellent choices that will really shred through the first wave very quickly. So with that said, let's move on to the fight, and I'll cover a few of the key aspects as we go along. See you there. Okay, so the first wave is pretty straightforward, and my approach here is to just focus damage on the Ochu in the middle. I will be swapping out Vivi immediately for the Cloud support, so that I can just quickly shred through the Ochus, and Cloud can also delay the entire enemy party and reduce the amount of incoming damage that you take. So on Vivi's first turn, I swap him out for Cloud, and then I immediately go into Cloud's burst so that I can benefit from the burst effect. So the reason why I swap out Vivi and not Xande or Eald'narche is because I need the time on the first wave to build Xande up to 5 stacks. So the goal here with Xande is to quickly get to 5 stacks of his aura so that he can get the most benefits going into the second wave. There's no need to swap out Eald'narche on the first wave because his Uranus Cascade is essentially free skill users, and I also actually want to quickly charge up his EX so that I can get an EX used very close to the start of the second wave. So with Eald'narche is very straightforward. I'm just spamming Uranus Cascade, and I will be using his EX once it is up as well. So of course, while I'm getting up to speed with Xande and Eald'narche, Cloud will be using his LD to delay the boss while doing significant damage as well. You can also use Lightning Fan support here. She is going to be very good because she can also delay the entire enemy party through her LD, and her LD does very nice damage to the boss in the middle, though it doesn't have splash, so you do need to be at least aware of the micro choose if you use lightning. Okay, so I sort of messed up here and I allowed my entire party to be broken, and I thought that this mistake would have ended the run and I had to reset, but luckily the Ochu just did a brave attack after that, so that wasn't so bad. I can just re-break it and kill it off again before it gets its next turn. So essentially having Cloud in the field for 5 turns depletes 90% of the Ochu's life, so when Vivi comes back, we can comfortably finish off the first wave and head into the second wave with many skill users intact. There's no need to save Vivi's Meteor because I will be immediately using his LD going into the second wave anyway. Okay, so coming to the second wave, there is a little bit of work that you have to do here depending on who the assault dogs are targeting. So at the start of wave 2, one assault dog will always target all, and the other assault dog will target one party member. So what you want to do here is continuously reset the wave until the assault dog that is targeting the single party member is targeting Eald'narche. Its target is always at random, so it shouldn't take too many resets until you get it to target Eald'narche. So just keep hitting that reset button and it should take 3 to 5 resets until one of the dogs is targeting Eald'narche. Okay, so this works. So the boss target B is targeting Eald'narche and the other one is targeting all. So we can start the ball rolling here. So on Vivi's first turn here, I immediately use Doomsday. If you don't have Xande in your party, this is especially useful because Vivi can keep the Lufenia orb fairly healthy until you hit the 79%. With Xande in the party, the Lufenia orb isn't an issue, so you don't really need too, but I decided to just use his LD. So on Eald'narche first turn, you immediately want to use his phase shift. So this will inflict 2 turns of terror on the forces, essentially disabling them while terror is up. Eald'narche will get an immediate turn after phase shift, and you want to use his Omega Javelin immediately so that he gets the warp debuff on the bosses. Now Vortex is ready again, and Vortex also will be able to inflict terror. What you want to do is to always wait until terror wears off on both bosses before you use his EX again. So that way you will always have the EX ready for when you need to reapply terror again. Essentially, Eald'narche's only function in the entire battle is to ensure the bosses are inflicted by terror, and that's it. So if you find yourself in a situation where terror is still up and Eald'narche's EX is ready, what I did is to just spam HP plus attack with Eald'narche. This is also to conserve his ability users, because you do need to be spamming his abilities near the end of the fight. Okay, when the bosses hit 79% HP, they will use Fire Dog, as you can see here. This gives them the yellowish aura with the fiery effect, and they will gain the Brave Shield. When Fire Dog is up, you want to try to break them as quickly as possible. With Eald'narche, if terror is still up, he can't do anything, so what you can do is just use a regular Brave attack with him. With Vivi, using his EX, LD or double fire will usually be enough to break through the shield, as you can see here. And Xande can also deal lots of brave damage through his EX or LD use. Okay, so Terror is about to run out. The Terror debuff just won off on boss A, and on boss B's next turn Terror will run out. So as I say again, you do need to keep a very close eye on Terror. So when this happens, what you want to do is first use Eald'narche's additional ability AA. So this will ensure his next Terror will last for 4 turns instead of 2. Okay, so here we go. Eald'narche has his AA effect up, and this is when you want to use his EX again, and this will inflict 4 turns of terror on the boss. On Eald'narche's next turn, you want to immediately follow this up with his Omega Javelin, which will inflict 4 turns of the warp debuff on the bosses. I also tend to immediately use his S1 right after Omega Javelin, because his S1 will then inflict 8 turns of speed down debuff, which comes in very handy throughout the fight as well. Thereafter, you want to be spamming HP plus attack with Eald'narche, because his EX will be charged very shortly after that, and there's no point using his EX until Terror has worn off on the bosses. With Vivi, it's also very important to save his LD skill users. I tend to save his LD, his second LD use until the Lufenia orb reappears again, which is at the 59% threshold. So once the boss hits 59% and the Lufenia orb comes up, that's when you can start using Vivi's LD again. And 2 LD users should be sufficient to last right until near the end of the fight. Okay, so here we go again at 59%. Both bosses are again protected by Fire Dog. So there's nothing much else you can do except wait until you can use Xande's EX or LD or Vivi's Double Fire EX or LD. But there's not much risk here because even though they are in the Fire Dog state, if they are inflicted by Terror, they still will not be able to take any action during their turn. So you see me checking the boss's debuff status many times over the fight. That's really just me double checking the Terror debuff. So here the Terror debuff is at 1 turn left, it's about to wear off. So you do need to start preparing to use his EX again. And again, I really need to emphasize my strat here is really not to use his EX until Terror has worn off. This is to ensure the longest possible duration of time where the bosses are inflicted with Terror. So here the Terror has worn off on both bosses, so I repeat the same thing. On Eald'narche's free turn, I use his AA, so that when his next turn comes up before the bosses get a turn again, I can inflict another 4 turns of Terror. Okay, so very nicely, 4 turns of Terror is up again, and you want to repeat the same cycle where I use his Omega Javelin followed by his S1 to re-inflict all the debuffs with 2 extra turn duration due to his AA, and thereafter I'll return to spamming HP plus attack with Eald'narche. Okay, Eald'narche's EX is up again, and the Terror debuff is only 1 turn left on the bosses. The difference though now is Eald'narche doesn't have his AA anymore, he only has 2 users of it. So which means that on his next EX use, Terror will only be inflicted for 2 turns. And that is why you really want to save Eald'narche's skill users for this point in the game. Okay, so Terror has completely worn off, so this is where I use his EX. And now that Terror is only 2 turns with Eald'narche, what you want to do is to actually spam his skills every time he gets a turn. Starting off with, of course, his Omega Javelin to inflict the warp debuff. And the idea is to spam skills for Eald'narche so that he can quickly recharge his recast meter, his EX meter, so that you can get his EX ready again by the time Terror runs out. Okay, so here you can see by spamming skills, his EX is up again, and the Terror is just about to run out on boss A, so I'm just waiting for it to expire. Okay, so for the 3rd time, Terror has expired, and here I'm re-inflicting Terror again with Eald'narche's EX for another 2 turns. At this point of time, he doesn't have many skills left to spam, so if you still need the extra turns, you can just pop summon. But as you can see here, I could have pop summon way earlier, but considering that I had Terror to last through the entire fight, I decided to test to see whether I could finish the fight without using summon. And as you can see here, even though I couldn't kill off both bosses at the same time, and one of them used the Fire Dog Shield, since it's inflicted by Terror, I can very comfortably just Brave Shave through the shield and kill off the boss without using summon. And that's it. Hope this video has been useful or at least entertaining. As always, if you enjoyed the video, do leave a like, comment or subscribe. It really helps a lot. Till then, I'll see you in the next Lufenia fight. Bye bye.